Let me ask you a question that might sting a little. How often have you watched a trade you closed early turn into the exact move that could have changed your entire week, maybe even your entire month? You closed out for a quick $100 or $200, felt a little relief, perhaps even gave yourself a small pat on the back for securing profits. But then you checked the chart later, and there it was. The market kept running, blowing right past your exit, delivering 5, 10, maybe even 20 times the profit you settled for. And in that moment, you didn't feel smart, you didn't feel safe, you felt sick. That regret, that twisting feeling in your stomach, that voice in your head screaming, "Why did I get out? Why couldn't I hold?" If that sounds like you, you're not alone. In fact, most traders struggle with this exact issue. It's one of trading psychology's most common, painful, and costly mistakes. And today, I will show you exactly why you kill your profits too early, and more importantly, how you can stop it. Because until you master this, no strategy, indicator, or system will save you. You'll keep repeating the same pattern, sabotaging yourself before the market can pay you. Now, before we go any further, let me pause here and ask you, if you're serious about transforming your trading mindset, if you want to stop repeating the same painful mistakes and finally take control of your psychology, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, like this video, and share it with another trader who needs to hear this. Here on Trading Psychology Lab, this is where the market meets the mind. And I promise you, what you're about to learn could be the turning point in your trading journey. So let's get into it. Why do you keep killing your profits? It's not because you're stupid. It's not because you don't know better. It's not even because your strategy is broken. You do it because you're human. And being human means your brain is hardwired for survival, not wealth. When you see green on your screen, your survival instincts kick in. Your nervous system interprets those unrealized profits as resources gained. And then a powerful fear sets in, fear of losing it, fear of the market taking it back, fear of letting this one slip through your fingers. And fear doesn't negotiate. Fear doesn't analyze. Fear commands. That little voice whispers, "Take it now. Protect it. Don't risk it." And before you even realize it, you've hit the close button. You think you made a wise choice, but IOU just surrendered to fear. You didn't trade your plan. You didn't follow your rules. You just reacted to emotion. And that reaction, that one simple click, cost you not only the trade's true potential, but also your confidence, consistency, and future results. Because here's the truth that stings the most. The market doesn't punish you for being wrong. The market punishes you for being undisciplined. And closing your winners too soon is the ultimate form of self-sabotage. Think about it. All the hard work, all the analysis, all the patience to find the setup, all the discipline to wait for the entry. And then you cut yourself off at the knees before the trade ever has a chance to play out. That's like planting a seed, watering it for weeks, and then yanking it out of the soil the moment it sprouts because you're afraid it might not grow. It's madness. But we all do it. Why? Because small wins feel safe. They feel good. They give us that dopamine hit, that little chemical rush in the brain that says, "Yes, I did it. I made money." But you don't realize you're training yourself like a lab rat pressing a button for a sugar pellet. You're conditioning yourself to settle for scraps. And every time you do it, you reinforce the habit. You tell your brain, "This is the way. This is what winning feels like." But it's a lie, because actual winning isn't about taking whatever the market gives you in the moment. It's about holding long enough to let the probabilities, the setups, and the strategy pay you in full. And here's the crazy paradox. The very thing you think is keeping you safe is the thing that's keeping you broke. You cut winners short to avoid regret and the pain of giving back profits. But in doing so, you guarantee a different kind of regret. The type of regret gnaws at you long after the trade ends. The regret of what could have been. And that regret is far heavier than the discomfort of holding. So what does this mean? It means you can't just change your strategy if you want to stop killing your profits. You can't just slap on a trailing stop or set a bigger target. You have to rewire how you think. You have to retrain your brain to handle the discomfort of holding. You must build the emotional endurance to sit with tension, embrace uncertainty, and trust the process even when everything inside you is screaming to close the trade. Because only then will you finally break the cycle. Only then will you unlock the ability to let winners run. And let me tell you this, when you master it, everything changes. Your equity curve starts to grow, your confidence soars. Your consistency finally clicks into place. Because you're no longer at the mercy of fear. You're no longer strangling your trades in their infancy. You're finally letting the market reward you entirely when you're right. That's the skill that separates amateurs from professionals. No more indicators. And no more signals. Just this, the ability to hold. And that's precisely what we will dig into in this video. Because once you understand why your brain tricks you into killing profits and how to stop it, you'll never look at your trades the same way again. Remember the last time you were in a trade that went in your favor. The chart finally looked like it was confirming your analysis. The candlesticks moved in the direction you predicted. Your entry was good. For a brief moment, you felt that rare satisfaction of being right. But then something happened inside you. Your eyes kept flicking to your unrealized profit. You started calculating what that money could mean. Maybe covering a bill, perhaps a nice dinner, finally having a green day after a string of red ones. And in that exact moment, you became vulnerable. The market hadn't told you to exit. Your strategy hadn't given a signal. But your emotions whispered, "Take it now, before it disappears." And so you clicked the button, locked in a small gain, and exhaled in relief. But minutes later, the market kept moving. What could have been a $1,000 win ended as $150. And the worst part isn't the money you left on the table. It's the emotional scar. Because once again, you confirm that you don't trust yourself or the market to let the trade play out. Why does this keep happening? Why do smart, disciplined people who can delay gratification in other areas of life become so quick to grab at crumbs in trading, even when the feast is right around the corner? The answer isn't a lack of intelligence or even a lack of technical skill. It's about how our brains are wired to perceive gain and loss. Behavioral economists have proven that loss aversion, the idea that we feel the pain of loss twice as strongly as the pleasure of gain, skews our decisions. You're not just looking at potential profit when you're in a winning trade. You're subconsciously imagining what it would feel like to lose that profit. And the thought of losing it becomes unbearable. So your hand moves almost automatically to lock it in. But here's the paradox. You reinforce a neural pattern every time you grab those small wins. You're teaching your brain that exiting early is the safe path. Over weeks and months, this becomes hardwired. It's why so many traders describe feeling almost compelled to take profits early, even when they know logically it's a mistake. And this is where the cycle traps you. Because if you always exit early, you're cutting off the big winners that were supposed to carry your trading account. The trading math is built on the principle that a small handful of trades provide most gains. But if you never let those trades mature, you're ensuring mediocrity, or worse, long-term failure. Now, let me ask you something powerful. What if the very thing you've been fighting against, the discomfort of watching open profit fluctuate, is the key to breaking through as a trader? Imagine this. You enter a trade, and instead of focusing on the profit ticking up, you train yourself to see it as neutral. Not as money, but as information. A temporary marker of where the market is right now. Nothing more. Imagine being able to hold, not because you're fearless, but because you've built a new mental story. I don't need this trade to work out. My job isn't to collect small wins. My job is to let the math play out. This shift is not easy, but it's possible. And here's where most traders get it wrong. They think they can tell themselves to be disciplined or hold longer and expect results. But discipline isn't built in the heat of the moment. It's built before you even place the trade. Think of it like training for battle. A soldier doesn't develop composure in the middle of the fight. That composure is drilled into them during training, before they ever face the enemy. In trading, your battlefield is the live market. But your training ground is your journal, your simulations, your rehearsals. Every time you visualize letting a trade run, write down your exit rules, and practice not reacting to the first flicker of red on the chart, you're rewiring your brain for battle. And here's a secret most traders don't realize. You're not fighting the market. The market doesn't care if you hold or sell. The fight is entirely internal. It's your fear versus your potential. Your survival instinct versus your vision of success. That's why trading is such a mirror. It shows you where you give in too soon, don't trust yourself enough, and where your comfort zone is quietly killing your growth. But let me make this practical for you. Because theory doesn't change, accounts, protocols do. Here's a powerful one you can start today. Next time you're in a winning trade, write down your target and stop before you enter. Write it down on paper, not just on the screen. Then, when the market moves in your favor, force yourself to look at that paper. Remind yourself, the rational version of me made this plan. The version wasn't panicking and wasn't hypnotized by flashing green numbers. My job now is to trust that trader, not the emotional one staring at the screen. You'll be shocked at how effective this simple external anchor can be. Because when your brain is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, you can't think clearly. But a written plan acts like a lifeline, pulling you back to logic. Now, I want to pause and remind you, if this is resonating, if you see yourself in what I'm describing, don't just nod and move on. Hit that subscribe button, share this video with another trader you know, and like this content so it reaches more people who need to hear it. Because this channel isn't just about strategies. It's about rewiring your mind so the plan you already know can finally work. In the next part, we're going even deeper. We will uncover the hidden identity conflict that keeps traders from holding their winners. It's not just fear. It's something far more subtle, and once you see it, you'll realize why you've been self-sabotaging all along. You might think the battle is with the chart, with the candlesticks that flicker red and green, but the truth is far more dangerous. The real struggle is with yourself. Traders don't just exit too early because of fear or impatience. That's only the surface. Beneath it lies something deeper, something almost invisible, an identity conflict. And until you see it clearly, you will keep repeating the same cycle, no matter how much you know about discipline or patience. Think about it. The reason you kill your profits too early isn't that you don't recognize the trend. You often see it. You can feel the momentum. You know logically that holding could unlock far more. Yet your hand reaches for the exit button anyway, as if controlled by some unseen force. That's because your subconscious identity, the story you tell yourself about who you are in the market, sabotages you. Here's the paradox. Many traders secretly see themselves not as wealth builders, but as risk avoiders. Deep down, they carry an identity shaped by past losses, painful mistakes, and maybe even experiences outside the market where holding on too long costs them dearly. That identity whispers, take the small win. Don't be greedy. Don't let the market take this away. And so they exit too soon, reinforcing the very identity that keeps them small. Every premature exit isn't just a financial decision. It's a reinforcement of who you think you are. This is why many traders read books, watch videos, and memorize rules but repeat the same mistakes. You can't out-logic your identity. You can't lecture yourself into becoming a trader who rides trends with calm certainty if your inner story is that of someone who needs to escape danger as fast as possible. The market will always expose what you truly believe about yourself. Now imagine this. A trader sits at their desk, staring at a position running beautifully in their favor. They know this could be a big one. The chart confirms it. Every piece of logic says, stay in. But their chest tightens. Their palms sweat. Suddenly, they see ghosts of past trades where profits vanished. Their subconscious says, you're not someone who wins big. You're someone who escapes before it's too late. And just like that, they click out. The profit is real but small. The regret arrives instantly. And the identity, the self-image of a trader who never holds long enough, grows stronger. This is the trap most traders never escape, the prison of self-identity. Until you rewrite that inner story, you'll always find a way to kill your winners, no matter how much technical knowledge you gain. Because the chart doesn't just mirror the market, it mirrors you. So how do you rewrite this identity? First, you must acknowledge that every trade is not just about money. It's about meaning. When you cut your profit short, it means something about you. Maybe it means you don't fully trust yourself. Perhaps it means you fear success as much as you fear failure. Maybe it means you are more comfortable being almost right than truly victorious. And until you face that meaning head-on, you'll keep living the same story. The key is to create an identity shift. You have to start telling yourself, not with empty affirmations, but with lived practice, that you are a trader who holds for the move, not the moment. You embrace uncertainty because you know your edge will carry you. That you are not just protecting yourself from loss, but claiming your right to the full reward. This isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. Aligning your self-image with the kind of trader you want to be. Here's a practical example. Next time you're in a winning trade and feel that urge to exit too soon, stop and ask, what story am I reinforcing if I cut this trade here? Am I reinforcing the identity of a trader who panics, or of a trader who trusts the process? That single moment of reflection can begin to crack the old pattern. Because the truth is, every decision in the market either strengthens the old identity or builds the new one. And here's where it gets even more powerful. When you shift your identity, the market feels different. The same chart that once looked like a threat begins to look like an opportunity. The same candlestick that once triggered panic now feels like a signal. Why? Because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're no longer trapped in the identity of someone who just survives. You're stepping into the identity of someone who thrives. This is why traders who master psychology talk about trading as a transformation. It's not just about entries and exits. It's about becoming the kind of person who can hold, wait, and trust. Until you change who you believe you are in the market, you will always act in ways that sabotage your winners. But when you rewrite that inner story, holding becomes natural. It feels less like effort and more like truth. So ask yourself right now, who am I in the market? What identity am I bringing to each trade? If your answer is anything less than a trader who holds with conviction, then you've found the real reason why you kill profits too early. It's not fear. It's not impatience. It's identity. The good news is that identity can be rewritten. But it starts with awareness and the courage to step into a new story. You've seen it now. The conflict isn't just about taking profits too early. It's about who you believe you are when you're sitting in that chair. It's the clash between your subconscious story and your conscious desire. So the question becomes, how do you rewrite the story? How do you become the trader who doesn't sabotage his edge, but lives inside the discipline effortlessly, as if it's part of his DNA? The first truth you must accept is this: you cannot out-discipline an identity conflict. You can white-knuckle it for a few trades, maybe weeks, but eventually the subconscious pulls you back into old patterns. Why? Because your subconscious is wired for consistency, not for success. It craves alignment between what you do and who you believe yourself to be. So if you secretly think, I'm someone who never holds on long enough, someone who always messes up when it counts, the subconscious will work tirelessly to keep you proving that belief true. But here's the breakthrough. If you can rewrite the identity, the behavior follows naturally. It's like flipping a switch. You no longer have to fight yourself. You become the version of yourself who naturally aligns with your edge. And the process of rewiring starts with 3 core levers: environment, repetition, and embodiment. Let's break them down. First, the environment. You cannot become a new identity while being drowned in the triggers of your old one. If you're trading space, routines, and even the people you talk to reinforce impatience, distraction, or fear constantly, you'll relapse. Environment is not just the room you trade in. It's everything you expose yourself to. So ask yourself, does my setup scream discipline, patience, mastery? Or does it scream chaos, distraction, clutter? This is why top performers, from elite athletes to world-class traders, ritualize their environment. They strip away distractions. They make their workspace a temple. For you, that might mean decluttering your screens, minimizing unnecessary indicators, and using reminders that anchor you back to your edge. Something as simple as a sticky note on your monitor that says, I am the trader who holds, can be a subconscious reprogramming tool. Environment whispers to the subconscious more powerfully than willpower ever could. Second, repetition. A single decision does not rewrite identity. It's forged through consistent evidence. Every time you hold a trade according to plan, even if the market stops you out, you cast a vote for your new identity. You prove to yourself, see, I can be the trader who follows through. This is why you must celebrate process over outcome. The market will not reward you instantly, but your subconscious will. And if you accumulate enough small wins of identity, I acted as the disciplined trader today, the shift becomes irreversible. Repetition also applies to mental rehearsal. Close your eyes before a session and visualize yourself holding through the discomfort, sitting in the zone, breathing through the fear as the market moves in your favor. Neuroscience shows that mental rehearsal fires the same neural pathways as the real act. By rehearsing patience, you make it feel familiar. And what feels familiar becomes safe. Finally, embodiment. You cannot just think your way into a new identity. You have to feel it in your body. This is why trading psychology isn't just mental, it's physiological. Notice what happens in your body when you're about to cut a trade early. Tight chest, shallow breathing, tapping fingers. That's your nervous system screaming for safety. But you can rewire this response through deliberate embodiment practices. Slow down your breath. Relax your jaw. Plant your feet. Create rituals of calm in the storm. Embodiment also means speaking to yourself differently. Not in the future tense, I will become disciplined, but in the present tense. I am disciplined. I am the trader who lets winners run. The subconscious only responds to what you embody now. So stop telling yourself you're trying. Start telling yourself you already are. Combining these three levers, environment, repetition, embodiment, creates an identity shift that sticks. But let me be clear, this isn't about pretending or positive thinking. It's about aligning your daily actions with the trader you want to be until the subconscious finally accepts it as truth. And when it does, everything changes. You'll notice the shift when holding winners no longer feels like a battle, but like the obvious choice. Cutting losers quickly doesn't feel painful, but natural. Returning to your journal, you realize, I didn't have to fight myself this week. I just traded like the trader I've always wanted to be. That's when you've stepped into the zone, not as a temporary state, but as your identity. But there's one more piece, and it's critical. You can't just decide to shift your identity in isolation. You need accountability structures. Left alone, the subconscious will always drag you back to safety. But when you create systems that make your new identity non-negotiable, you remove the choice to regress. This might look like a strict journaling process, where you grade yourself daily on whether you acted as your desired trader. It might be having a trading buddy or mentor who calls you out when you slip. Or it could be as simple as automating parts of your trading, using alerts, stop losses, or scaling tools, so that discipline is locked in even when emotions flare. This is where most traders fail. They hear about psychology, nod, and say, yes, identity matters. But they never systematize it. They rely on motivation, on fleeting bursts of discipline, instead of building the structures that lock the identity in place. Don't make that mistake. The trader who rewires himself doesn't just rely on belief. He builds guardrails. He hardwires the new story until it becomes the only story. And when you reach that point, something almost mystical happens. The charts look different. You stop obsessing over every tick. You stop needing the market to make you feel good. Instead, you feel good because you know yourself a disciplined, patient, consistent trader. That's when you step into true freedom. And let me remind you, if this message is hitting you or realizing this is the missing piece, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button so more traders discover it. Share it with someone who keeps sabotaging themselves, and subscribe to the channel. Because this is just one layer, we will go even deeper. In the next section, I'll show you how to integrate all of this into your daily trading so it doesn't just remain theory, but becomes a living, breathing part of how you trade tomorrow morning.